Hey folks, welcome to Churn Bites. Today we're talking with Laura Lewis about how messaging can affect retention. Laura, say hi.
Hey Dan, glad to be here. I'm a marketer. My marketing background is a mix of demand generation and marketing operations.
Great. Just so the audience knows, what are some of the kind of places you've worked at?
I've worked for a bunch of companies from Series A to a billion-dollar public company in a bunch of different industries, real estate to sales and MarTech. My expertise through all of that is really being able to identify the right go-to-market strategy for a company, whether that's an ABM motion or a product-led growth motion, and then putting in place the systems, the processes to make that motion a reality. Most recently, I led marketing for Adigi, which is a PE-backed B2B SaaS startup. We sold IT device management solutions.
That's quite the career. So we're here to talk about how messaging affects retention. Tee this up for us.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned before, I've worked across a lot of different companies by stage and industry. There's one thing on every single startup that I found, and it's they're not communicating in the best way for their buyer and their customer.
That sounds pretty classic when working with product teams. Give us a little color here.
For example, one organization, when a new product got launched, the team would write a blog post, they'd send an email to customers, and they'd include contact information. Great, so the customer could buy now. The customer would get on the phone with sales, they'd hear about how much that new feature would cost them.
So product releases as a sales strategy. All right, what else you got?
Another organization, there were so many small feature releases happening all the time, and they were communicated to customers in a very technical way. There were webinars, but they would talk incredibly technically and very high level at the same time about the industry. So there was just no customer value that was really happening there. And then in yet another, retention was really low, or net retention was around 70%. So there was a massive need to showcase the value of the product to customers to make them stick.
All right, so we have a lot of content going out, but it's written in a voice the customers don't get. What should we think about here?
It's important to put yourself in the shoes of your customer. We live and breathe our product and our company every single day, but our customer does not. They're inundated just like you are in your life with ads, work things, family drama. When you're talking to customers, you have to get really crisp and clean on what is going to add value for them and is also going to lead to the outcome you want as a company, whether that's retention or maybe expansion.
This is a pretty common problem because product people tend to think of the product in their own little way, and they're paying attention to it a lot, as you said. And so it's easy for product folks and engineers to get really wrapped up in what it is they have. I guess, like, if you're going to try to untangle this, what might you do?
We really had to look at it and step back and think about the end goal of what we wanted. Think about what could we offer the customer that will help them get to that end goal. And you also have to get creative. So if you want expansion, you can't inundate customers with buy now, buy now. They're going to think you're money grubbers. They're going to lose trust in the brand. I actually was in a situation like that. So you have to show value indirectly. And I mean, that's what marketers do, right? That's where we can help.
Be indirect. Now, that's not common marketing advice. Let's hear a little bit more about that, please.
So when I say indirectly, though, it's people are smart. You can't be too on the nose or they're going to feel talked down to or like you're selling to them. No one wants to be sold to, right? You want a trusted advisor who's going to help you make the right decision for you and give you the information that you're looking for. So it's about communicating as this trusted advisor, talking about problems, situations, how to solve them. And oh, by the way, your product can do that too.
Okay, that helps. Now give us an example so we can really understand it.
So at one of the organizations I mentioned, we completely revamped our customer webinar series. They've been talking about niche industry topics. Our customers didn't really care about that though. They had a ton of stuff on their plate. Our product was a small piece of that. So they didn't want to hear about all of these crazy high-level things going on in our space. They just wanted to know that we could solve what they needed us to solve.
All right, so you've got to find a way to start talking to the customer in a way that represents the way they see their life. So what did you do next?
So I led an initiative to revamp those customer webinars. Instead of talking about industry topics, we talked about the things our product could help with. Customers were using the product. They wanted to know how it works. They wanted to make sure they were getting the right value out of it.
Okay, so what's this in a practical sense?
So we gave demos of product functionality. We teased our roadmap. We talked about problems and solutions.
Makes sense. So how did all this translate into numbers?
We went from less than 350 on the first webinar to over 800 in just a couple of months, changing this talk track, focusing on what customers actually wanted to hear that would give them value.
Wow, that's big numbers, man. I'm sure leadership was happy.
And that also let us talk about the specific product features focused on expansion in areas where we wanted more usage or more dollars. And just by educating customers on one particular expansion product feature, we doubled our monthly growth. So more money. Customers found value, and we didn't have to shove it in their face either.
Well, I think the results speak for themselves there. You heard it first, folks. Indirect directly affects you.
Yeah, think like your customer. You have to provide true, honest value that's going to resonate. And I think sometimes people get afraid. If we don't say, buy today, no one's going to buy. Or if we don't say, our product does this, no one is going to know. But people are really smart.
Yeah, I guess that's something people tend to forget is in B2B tech sales specifically, the economic buyer is pretty well educated, not only in general, but about their problem and how they want to think about it. So we don't necessarily have to dangle the dollar sign in front of them all the time to spur them to action.
You don't have to throw it in people's faces. They'll find the value, they'll get more out of your product and what you're doing, and then if they're finding value, hopefully they stay with you for a really long time.
Laura, thanks for stopping by Churn Bites. We appreciate having you today.
Thanks so much, Dan.